Today's game is going to be between the 1911 Philadelphia A's and the 1912 New York Giants. But I want to come to 47th and Tracy for a minute and talk about the Kansas City Packers. At this location, Deadball baseball was played. Major League Deadball baseball in the style of the Federal League. 1914 and 1915. Kansas City inherited a minor league team from Covington. The Covington Colonels from Covington, Kentucky, came here, and as the Federal League formed, they began rating players from the American and National Leagues. The first player that was signed for the Federal League was George Stovall from St. Louis, and he became the player manager of the Kansas City Packers. Joe Tinker was the first Major League star to sign with the Federal League. He went to the Whales of Chicago in 1914. But many of the players on the Packers team had Major League experience, so it was a Major League team. At this location, 47th and Tracy, stood about a 10,000 seat stadium called Gordon and Koppel Field. And it was here in 1914 when the Federal League started. It's kind of a disastrous year for that first year for Kansas City. They fell in last place, and there was a flood. This area out here we're looking at now is Brush Creek, and in Brush Creek it flooded in September, flooded the stadium and flooded out the equipment room and uniform room, so they lost their equipment and uniforms, and they had to play the remainder of the 1914 season on the road. 1915 was a much better year. They were in first place for a time, and there were several teams that contended for the championship of the Federal League. They swooned toward the end of the year and finished about 82 and 71 record, about 5 games out of first place. But it was a much better year. They had a good pitcher. His name was Packard. He won over 20 games. And they had some Major League quality players. Now, there's only one picture of the stadium that I'm aware of, and it seemed like the left field wall faced the bridge out here, Paseo Bridge. So we're standing in probably was around second base or center field. That'd be center field. And this direction might be right field. UMKC, University of Missouri, Kansas City, is to the left a few blocks. And now there are shops. Where that red truck is pulling out is Gates parking lot, Gates Barbecue. It's a restaurant and the headquarters of Gates Barbecue. That's where the infield, this is probably where the infield was. 47th and Tracy, 1914, 1915. But the Federal League folded up, and for 40 years, white Major League Baseball was not played in Kansas City until 1955 when the Athletics moved to Kansas City, but still had a pretty good option in Negro League Baseball. The Kansas City Monarchs, not a bad team to follow. And they played their games, not here, but they played at where Kansas City Municipal Stadium was. It was called, for a while, Mulebach Field. It's where the Kansas City Blues minor league team, an affiliate of the Yankees, played. So Kansas City still had a Major League Baseball option. That was the Kansas City Monarchs. Loved to have seen a game here, though, in the style of Deadball. Hello, Apba baseball fans. This is Apba Brian with Game 7 of the Deadball Era Division Tournament. Today we have the 1911 Philadelphia Athletics against the 1912 New York Giants. And this is actually Game 1 of the losers bracket, so it is an elimination game. Whoever loses this game goes home. Okay, Briss Lord is leading off and playing left field. Rube Aldring is in center field batting second. Eddie Collins, second base, batting third. Frank Home Run Baker is at third base, batting fourth. Danny Murphy's in right field. Stuffy McInnes at first base. Jack Berry at shortstop. And Ira Thomas is the catcher. Eddie Plank is on the mound. For the New York Giants, George Burns is in center field. Fred Snodgrass in left field. Laughing Larry Doyle at second base. Fred Merkel first base. Chief John Myers is the catcher. Beals Becker in right field. Buck Herzog at third base, and Art Fletcher's the catcher. The pitcher is Jeff Tesreau. Jeff Tesreau is an AY pitcher with Y and W modifiers. We'll have the Scrabble letters on the scoreboard again. Tesreau is an AYW, and then Eddie Plank is an AY pitcher. And I got one thing to say before we start rolling the dice. Let's get some runs. Here we go. Here's a pitch to Briss Lord, 63. 34 has a Y modifier, and Briss Lord is a strikeout victim. One away. The New York Giants are on fielding column 2, and the A's are on fielding column 1. We're using the basic version, except for stolen bases. We'll use the master rules for stolen bases. Rube Aldring, 24, is a fly ball to the center fielder, George Burns. He didn't play in the first 2 games, but he's in the lineup today. Makes the catch. 2 down. Here is Eddie Collins, 365 hitter in 1911. 62 is the roll. That's a 36 is going to be ball 1. Or no, that's going to be a W modifier. So Eddie Collins will be the first base runner with a walk. Brings up Frank Home Run Baker. 32 is the roll, and it is a ground ball to second base. He goes a short way to shortstop. For the third out, we go to the bottom of the first. There's no score. Gettysburg, Eddie Plank is completing his warm-up tosses. He was 23 and 8 in 1911 with a 2.10 earned run average. George Burns leads off for New York. As soon as we collect the dice, here's the pitch to George Burns. 46 is going to be a swing and miss for strike 3. Just like Tesreau's, Plank starts with a strikeout. Here's Fred Snodgrass. 61 is a 40. That's going to be a foul ball. 34 is the roll. That's going to be a fly ball to center field. Rube Aldring is under it, and he makes the catch. 2 away. Laughing Larry Doyle, 330 hitter in 1912. 34 is a fly ball also to Rube Aldring. Makes the catch, and we go to the top of the second. No score. Danny Murphy leads off for the A's in his debut Major League game on July 8th, 1902. He went 6 for 6. Here's the pitch for Danny Murphy. 1-2 is the roll. That's going to be a 25. That's a ground out to the second baseman, Larry Doyle. 4-3, 1 away. Stuffy McInnes. 46 is the roll. That's going to be a soft ground ball back to the pitcher, Jeff Tesreau, who throws over to first base, Fred Merkel, and that's 2 away. Jack Berry. Jack Berry played for both in this tournament, the 1915 Red Sox and the 11 A's who are playing today. So if they play each other, it'll take a coin flip to see which team he plays for. He won't play for both. Here's the pitch to Jack Berry. 1-2 is the roll. That's going to be a ground out to second base. as well. 4-3, 3 ground outs. We go to the bottom of the second, no score. Fred Merkle will lead off for the Giants. In the bottom of the second, his life was changed by one game, 1 inning, and 1 play. The Merkle Boner in 1908. 21 is the roll. Swing and miss for strike 3. Second strikeout for Gettysburg Eddie Plank, and that's 1 down. Here is Chief John Myers. 61 is a ground ball to the shortstop. Jack Berry is up with it, throws to first, 2 down. Beals Becker. Six roll, that's a hit column roll. Unfortunately, it's with 2 outs, but they'll take what they can get here. 6-6, that's a drive. It might be, it could be, it is out of here for a home run by Beals Becker, and the New York Giants take a 1-0 lead. I'd say Beals Becker gets an upper decker, but they didn't have very many upper deckers in dead ball baseball. Here's Buck Herzog, 45. It's going to be a base on balls. F-rated runner. Everybody on this team, except for the catcher and the pitcher, are F-rated runners. His steal rating is C29. Let's see. Ira Thomas is a +3 thrower. Plank is moved to first is +1, so it's kind of difficult for the base runners. It's going to be a C25 adjustment, but with 2 outs. 11 through 51 is going to be the chances to be safe. They're going to take a chance. So there he goes. 62, he's gunned down. Out stealing. Let's see who was up the bat. That will be Fletcher up the bat, who is right-handed, so it would be 2-4. That's the 3rd out, but the Giants break out on top, 1-0 as we go to the top of the 3rd. Ira Thomas, the team captain, comes up the bat to lead off the 3rd. He was actually 8th in MVP voting from National League in 1911. 1-6 is a ground out to the shortstop. 6-3, 1 away. The pitcher, Eddie Plank. 43 is a ground ball back to Jeff Tesreau. Throws to Fred Merkle. There's 2 away. Bruce Lord. 36 is a base on balls. All right, Lord's going to be on first. He's average speed. E29 stealing, though. Rube Oldring. 1-1 roll, that's a hit column roll. 1-1, that's a drive. It might be, it could be. It is out of here. He will touch them all. A 2-run home run for Rube Oldring. And the A's break out in front 2-1, and they're breaking out quite a hitting drought. They only got 1 hit in their last game. And until now, they don't have any hits today either, but they got a big one from Rube Oldring. That'll bring up Eddie Collins with 2 outs and now a 1-run advantage for the A's. Here's the pitch to Eddie Collins. 56 is going to be a ground ball to third base. Buck Herzog corrals it, throws to first. 3 away. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. The Philadelphia A's take the lead 2-1. Shortstop Art Fletcher leads off for the Giants. He, after his playing days, became a longtime coach for the New York Yankees from 1927 all the way through World War II in 1945. Here's the pitch to Art Fletcher. 65 is the roll. That's going to be a foul out to the catcher, Ira Thomas. 1 away. Here's the pitcher, Jeff Tesreau. .44 is a 9. Against an A pitcher, that's going to be a ground out to the shortstop, Jack Berry. 2 down. And now at the top of the order, George Burns. Struck out in the first. Here's the pitch to Burns. 55 is going to be a ground out to Jack Berry as well. Go to the top of the fourth, 2-1 Philadelphia. Frank Baker, a great World Series performer, hit .363 in 25 World Series games. Suffered a personal tragedy in 1920 when his wife passed away. He dropped out of baseball for a year, and then came back in 1921 in a part-time role for the New York Yankees. Here's the pitch to Frank Baker. 36 is a 33 play result. That's going to be a Y modifier, a swing and a miss for strike 3. Danny Murphy comes to bat. .54 is a fly ball to right field. Beals Becker is under it, and he makes the catch. Steffi McInnes, the A's first baseman, kind of short for first baseman, 5'9", but a good defensive player, just a smaller target. 25 is an 8 against an A. That's going to be a pop-up to the third baseman. Buck Herzog makes the catch. Go to the bottom of the fourth, 2-1 A's. Fred Snodgrass leads off for the Giants. 25 is a base hit for Fred Snodgrass. And he might be looking to steal. He's a C30, which would be a C26 with the modifiers applied. 11 through 52. Not been getting good die rolls on some of these steals, but he's gonna take off. Larry Doyle is the batter, but Snodgrass is running. 24, he's going to be safe. Stolen base. So he's in scoring position with no outs. Larry Doyle's the batter. .330 hitter in 1912. Here's the pitch. 44 is a 7. That's going to be a single to the right fielder, and it's going to score Snodgrass because of the stolen base. And the Giants tie the score at 2. And we are finally getting a game that's not going to be a shutout in this series. Fred Merkle. 55 is going to be an 8 against a grade A pitcher. That's a ground ball to the first baseman. The runner goes to second. 3-1, and that's 1 out. Doyle on second. Chief Myers comes to bat. Myers is 2 for 8 in this tournament with an RBI and a stolen base. Here's the pitch to Myers. 1-1 roll with hit column roll. 35 is a 5. Gets an A. That's going to be a drive over the left center field fence for a home run. That is a third home run of the game. It's a 2-run homer. And the Giants take a 4-2 lead over the Philadelphia A's. If one more run scores in this inning, that'll be 5 in 3 innings, and Eddie Pike's pitching grade will go down 1 letter. Here's the pitch to Beals Becker. 63 is a fly ball to center field, caught by the center fielder Rube Oldring. 2 outs. Buck Herzog. 53 is the roll. That's a 20 against a fielding column 1. That's going to be an error on the second baseman, Eddie Collins. He is a C29 stealer, and I think he'll go for it. It'll be C25. 11-51. There he goes. 63, he's going to be thrown out. So Ira Thomas has nailed 2 of the 3 base stealers. That closes out the 4th inning. But the Giants score 3 runs on 3 hits. The big hit, a home run by Chief Myers. We go to the top of the 4th inning, top of the 5th inning. Get the correct score. Score is New York 4 and Philadelphia 2. Jack Berry will start things for the A's. He played on 6 different pennant-winning teams over 11 years. 21 is the role. That's going to be a fly ball to right field caught by Beals Becker. 1 down. Jeff Tesreau has retired his last 5 hitters. Ira Thomas comes to bat. Definitely had a good day defensively, throwing out 2 would-be base stealers. 43 is the role. That's a ground ball back to the pitcher, Jeff Tesreau. 2 away. Here is Eddie Plank. 65 is a pop-up to the catcher, caught by Chief Myers. We go to the bottom of the 5th. New York 4, Philadelphia 2. Art Fletcher, who is 2 for 7 in this tournament, leads off for the Giants 1-2. That's going to be a ground ball back to the second baseman, Eddie Collins. 1 down. Jeff Tesreau, the pitcher, grounded out to short his first time up. 63 is going to be a fly ball to the right fielder, Danny Murphy, 2 away. And to the top of the order, George Burns, 294 hitter in 1912. 56 is a Y modifier. That's going to be a strikeout. Second time he struck out. We go to the top of the 6th, 4-2 New York. In 1910, Connie Mack made a trade for Briss Lord, but he gave up Joe Jackson to Cleveland. Kind of a lopsided trade, but here he is for the A's. 36 is a walk to Briss Lord. E29 steals. Okay, the A's are going to put on a hit and run play with Rube Oldring. There goes Lord. 45 is a 14. That's going to be a strike on Rube Oldring. And to throw to second, he is going to be thrown out. He does not have an 11 on his card, which would have made him safe. So score it 2-4. And Chief Myers gets on the bandwagon of gutting down base runners. 1 away. Rube Oldring, 43. That's a ground ball back to the pitcher, Jeff Tesreau. 1-3. 2 down. Here's Eddie Collins. 1-1 roll. That's a hit column roll. 1-6 is going to be a 11. It's a single. Collins his steal rating is D29. And I'm bent on making these teams run, so there he goes. John Baker's the batter. Here's the E29. Let's check the numbers. Myers is a +3 thrower. And Tesreau is moved to first. It's +1, so it's -4. 11 through 25. He's going to have about a 2/3 chance. Let's see. 11 through 51. Here he goes. 53. He's just barely out. So Chief Myers throws out 2 base runners in the inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th. 4-2 New York. Okay, that's 4 base runners cut down at second base. Am I a little stubborn or what? Here's the pitch to Snodgrass. 1-1, that's going to be a hit column roll. That's a 6, rather. That's going to be a double by Fred Snodgrass to lead off the 6th inning for the Giants. At this point, Connie Mack is going to go to his bullpen. The new pitcher will be Harry Hal Krause, grade B Y pitcher, and we've changed that on the scoreboard. And he'll be facing Laughing Larry Doyle. I'd be inclined to sacrifice, but not with my best hitter. That run would be huge to get to third, but we're going to let Larry Doyle swing away. 61 is a 36. That's going to be a wild pitch, and the runner will get to third anyway. Ball one. Philadelphia will play their infield in. There's the pitch to Larry Doyle. 31 is an 8 against the B. That's going to be a fly out to the right fielder, caught by Danny Murphy, but it's deep enough, and it will be a sacrifice fly to right field, scoring Snodgrass. And the score is now New York 5, Philadelphia 2. Fred Merkel. 52 is the roll. That's going to be a ground out to the third baseman, 5-3. Home run Baker with that play. That's 2 outs. And John Myers homered and grounded out to shortstop. His home run was a 2-run shot. 25 is the roll. That's going to be a fly out to center field for the third out. We go to the top of the 7th inning. New York increases the lead with 1 hit and 1 run, 5-2. Danny Murphy will lead off. He's 0 for 5 in the tournament. 42 is a roll. That's going to be a 9 against an 8. It's a ground out to the shortstop. Wait a minute, I got the wrong batter up there. Frank Baker should be the batter. 42 would be same thing, ground out to the shortstop. Frank Baker is 0 for 3 today. Here is Danny Murphy. 1-2 is the roll. 25. That is a ground out to the second baseman, Larry Doyle. 2 away. Here is Stuffy McInnes, part of the Phillies' $100,000 infield. 31 is a 8 against an A. That's going to be a pop to third. So 3 up and 3 down. Go to the bottom of the 7th. The Giants still lead by 3. Beals Becker will lead off the 7. He is in the game for Red Murray, who was injured in the first game of the tournament. The report is Murray will be back for the next game. Here's the pitch to Becker. 43 is a ground ball back to the pitcher. 1 away. Buck Herzog. Hal Kraus gets a sign, pitches to Herzog. 41 is a ground ball to the shortstop, Jack Berry. 2 down. And now Art Fletcher. .26 is the roll. That's going to be a ground out to third base, 5-3. And we go to the top of the 8th. New York 5, Philadelphia 2. Okay, Philadelphia got 2 runs in the third, but they've not been able to put 2 bases hits together to rub together. Since then, just a hit in the 6th and a walk, but they were thrown out trying to steal. Here's the pitch to Jack Berry. 6-6 roll. Now here's an extra base hit, very possibly. A hit column roll. 22 is the roll. That could be, it's a triple to left center field. So Jack Berry will start in scoring position with nobody out at third base. Ira Thomas. I think New York will play with the infield back. They're interested in getting 6 outs. Here's the pitch to Ira Thomas. 51 is a 9 against an 8. That's going to be a fly out to the center fielder, George Burns, but it will be deep enough to score Berry. And the score now is New York 5, Philadelphia 3. Okay, well, 1 out in the 8th, and the pitcher due to bat, the A's call on Jack Lapp to pitch hit for Hal Kraus. Dauntless Dave Danforth is warming in the bullpen to pitch to the bottom of the 8th. Here's the pitch to Lapp. 41 is the roll. That's going to be a ground out to the shortstop, Art Fletcher, and there are 2 outs. Top of the order, and Briss Lord. .34 is the roll. That's going to be a fly out to the center fielder, George Burns. But the A's get a run. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 5-3, New York. Okay, pitching the bottom of the 8th for the Philadelphia A's will be dauntless Dave Danforth. He is a grade C XW pitcher. And New York will have a pinch hitter for their pitcher, Jeff Tesreau. That is going to be Arthur Tilly Schaefer. Hooks Waltz is in the bullpen. He'll pitch the 9th. Here's the pitch to Tilly Schaefer. 54 is a fly ball to right field. That is caught by Danny Murphy. 1 away. Right, the batter is George Burns. 23, that's going to be it's got an X modifier, so it's going to be a strikeout. As a 3rd time George Burns has gone down swinging. Here is Fred Snodgrass. 64 is a 22 against fielding column 2, and it's a ground out to first base. 3-1. We go to the top of the 9th. New York has a 2-run lead to protect, 5-3. On to pitch the 9th for New York is Hooks Wiltz. He is a BYZ rated pitcher. Rube Oldring will lead off for Philadelphia. He is 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning. 54 is going to be a fly ball to right field, caught by Beals Becker. 1 away. Here is Eddie Collins. 1-3 is going to be a base on balls. Tried to steal once, was gunned down. He is not the tying run, so he's probably going to stay at first. Here is Frank Home Run Baker. His biography, in baseball biography, says he used a 52-ounce bat. So here he comes with that big stick. Here's the pitch to Frank Baker. 34 is a fly ball to center field, caught by George Burns. And Hooks Waltz and the New York Giants are 1 out away from eliminating the Philadelphia A's. Danny Murphy is the last hope. Here's the pitch to Danny Murphy, 52. It's going to be hit on the ground to third base. He is retired, 5-3. That's the ball game. Final score: the New York Giants 5, Philadelphia A's 3. Well, I was hoping for some scoring, and today we got a virtual explosion as Deadball goes. The Philadelphia A's scored 3 runs on 3 hits and 1 error. The New York Giants scored 5 runs on 5 hits and no errors. There were home runs in the game by Beals Becker, Chief Myers, and Rube Oldring of the A's. The winning pitcher was Jeff Tesreau. 8 innings, 3 earned runs, 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, and 3 walks. The losing pitcher was Eddie Plank. The Philadelphia A's got tremendous relief pitching, 3 perfect innings from Hal Krause and Dave Danforth. Hooks Wiltz got the save for New York. The star of the game is, let's say, Fred Snodgrass. He was 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored, a single and a double, and a stolen base. Myers and Becker would also be stars. They went deep, but let's make it Fred Snodgrass. Well, the Philadelphia Athletics are eliminated from the tournament. Here in Game 7, the Giants move on. They'll play the loser of the 1920 Indians and 09 Pirates. Tomorrow's game will be Game 8 of the tournament, and that will pit the 1917 Chicago White Sox against the 1919 Cincinnati Reds, and that is an elimination game. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow with that Reds and White Sox, kind of a preview of that Black Sox series tomorrow. Good day, and God bless.